Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of Office Hours. Hope everyone is doing well. Able to hear me okay?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out why my.
No worries. Take your time. There we go. I think we got you.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure what happened. I think it switched to my phone's camera.
No worries. How's it going?
So far so good. Um, so I think last time I mentioned I was gonna do a demo with some schools, and yeah, so far things worked out well. It
Good.
didn't embarrass me or anything like that. So that was good. One challenge that I have is you know how with Stripe, when you are creating subscriptions, you have to provide like a success URL or a cancel URL so that if the user is on the Stripe page and then they want to come back, they can
Mm-hmm.
come back. But then when I try to do that, for some reason it does not go to the page that I want. And so like how should I put it? The URL will still be there, but then when you click on it, it will just go to like it will just go to the wrong page.
Okay.
So let me see if I can find an example.
Yes.
Just a moment. Okay, just a moment.
No worries.
Okay, let me share my screen. Where is this? Where is this? Sorry, it just gave me a 403. I'm trying to figure out what's going on.
No worries. Cool. I think we've got you now.
You can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see if I can get the website to work. Okay, so let me just pick a random page. All right, so you see this page, right? Can you see the URL at the address bar?
No, I can only see the app itself.
Okay, and then let me try again. This time I'll share the window. Can you see the address
Yes,
bar?
yes, there we go. Yeah.
Okay, so let me just come here just for the sake of it. So now, let's say I want to link to a specific page. So let's say with the Stripe, when I create the subscriptions and all, I try to give it the URL address of a specific page. So in this case, we have academics, right? But I realize that whenever the page loads, it just defaults to go to the home page. And even though the URL is there, so let me just copy and then let me just paste this. Oh, I don't know what's going on. Let me try it here and see. Yeah, so you see that when I pasted the URL in a different page, it went to the home page. It didn't go to the specific page the specific page URL that I had copied.
So a few questions. First thing, have you I can hear an echo. I think because you might have shared the whole screen. It might have.
Let me see. Okay, just a moment. Let me reshare it and then not share system. Okay. You can still see it. You can see it now, right?
Yeah, cool. And there's no echo. Right. So I think there's a couple of reasons that might be causing this. The first one that comes to mind is, are you logged in right now?
Am I logged in?
As a user on your app?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what might be the case then is, could you open up the page navigator in the top left? Right now you're on the people page. Yes. Okay. And The page you're trying to access is academics, but it takes you to the, which page was it? Because you tried to load the academics
takes
page,
me
but then it took
to
you to the dashboard, I think, or is my classes there?
Yeah, to the because the way I've set it up, if a user, because previously because I had login, I had this as my home page, right? So when someone goes to the regular web address, if they're not logged in, it takes them to this login page. But then I set up a logic that if they have not, if they've logged in, then depending on their role, it will take them to a specific page. Because what was happening was that anytime I gave the web address, even if they were logged in, it was ignoring the fact that they were logged in and their authentication token had been expired, and it was taking them straight to the login page. So I put in that logic so that, and this is where I sort of put in the logic for when the app loads, it sort of checks, is the session populated, is the user logged in, then based on whether the user is logged in, it takes them to a specific page.
I think, I mean, I can only presume it's this then, because I guess in this logic, if they are logged in, you route them to my classes, right?
Yes, but then without the logic, it takes them to the login page because the login page is the home page.
So what is the, but then if I understand it correctly, it's working as expected, no? So you're saying on app session load, if the person is logged in, take them to my classes.
Yes. So it is working as expected. The reason I put this in was that without this logic to check if they are logged in and whatnot, what was happening was that it was recognizing that the login page is the home page. And so it was just taking them to the login page, regardless of whether they are logged in or not.
Even if they try to access a specific path? So if they try to access...
if they try to access a specific path, it was taking them to the login page. And then because for, let's say, other apps, if I'm logged in on LinkedIn, for example, if I open, let's say I'm logged in here, if I were to open a new tab and I just type in LinkedIn, because I am already logged into this session, it just goes straight into the app. And then if, let's say, I were to...
I get you. Okay. I think I understand. So what we might want to do, it should be pretty straightforward then. I think one thing we can add to your check is if you go back to this logic, so you're saying, is user logged in? And then if they are logged in, could you go into the workflow? Yeah, that one. So are they a teacher? Okay. What if you were to add some kind of check to just say, because what are you trying to prevent here? Are you basically saying you don't want them to reach the app, and if they're on the login page and they're already logged in, then they should just be taken straight to the app? Is that...
No, so basically what a specific URL has provided, like this academics, if I were to copy and paste it in a different tab, then it should land the user on academics. And the reason I want this is because with the Stripe subscription, when they go onto the Stripe checkout page, there's an arrow that says, you can go back to like the app, or when they successfully complete the action or they are not, you have to submit a cancel or URL. And I want to be able to direct it to a specific URL. But then whenever it finishes the flow on Stripe checkout page, when it comes to that URL, it just goes straight to the home page. It doesn't go to that specific URL.
No, I get you. So sorry, I should have rephrased my question slightly better. What are you trying to achieve with the function you showed me? So is the idea behind it that if someone loads the app and they get taken to the login page, but they're already logged in, they should bypass the login screen and go straight to the core app?
Yeah, that's why I created this, because otherwise logged in, it was taking them straight to the login page.
Yeah,
because it's a home page.
What we should probably do then is, you could probably makes sense to have this on a page workflow instead of an app workflow then, because you could set this up just to happen on the login page. So you could say on page load of the login page, if the person is logged in, then they should go through this flow, as opposed to right now where it happens on every single page. Because if I understand correctly, you would only want it to happen on the login page, right? Pretty much.
Yeah, I only want it to happen on the login page.
Cool. What we can do then is if you back out of this workflow, so you go back to the main app one. Yes, what you can do is if you open up the more menu at the top.
More menu.
Where the app workflows are. Yeah, and then if you click the 3 dots and you click copy, if you now open up the page navigator in the top left, if you click on the cog for the login page, then page workflows. And if you click the arrow beside new at the top and then paste. Cool. And so now if you change this to instead of.
Okay, so let me keep this.
Unless it's my connection, I think we might have lost Eben. I will give it a second. Yeah, unfortunately, I think Evan's connection dropped. Hey Abaz, are there any new updates coming soon in WeWeb related to AI or anything else? So the main update that's coming is basically a native backend, so a full stack experience in WeWeb. You can still obviously hook everything up to Xano Supabase or the external backend, but there'll now be a built-in WeWeb backend, kind of like Bubble, I guess you could term it, where you'll have your backend workflows, aka there'll be your APIs. And you can also set up workflows around certain backend events, let's call it. So when someone signs up, you could trigger a workflow. When someone requests a reset password email, that kind of thing, you could trigger a workflow. So there's a full stack experience coming. And there was actually a live stream about this a few weeks back, and Flo, our CPO, did a quick preview if you'd like to see it. Plus, along with that experience, there's a new UI that I think is much cleaner. And then a bunch of kind of quality of life features around that with a new debugging experience within the context of workflows. And then with that, there will be AI updates because the AI can interact with the backend and all that sort of stuff. So it's a big update that's in the works, and it's hopefully going to come within the next 1 to 2 months. I don't want to speak too soon, but that's the plan. Yeah, the WeWeb to Xano experience will remain, I wouldn't say untouched. I mean, untouched in a good way. It's not like it's suddenly, you're not going to have a good way to interact with Xano. It'll still work in the same way you expect it. And then hopefully in the future, along with, because it's an overall kind of UI of how you work with the backend. On day one, you'll have collections with Xano still, but then as time goes by, the plan is to add kind of a nicer experience around Xano. So we plan to have something with Supabase where you can have your Supabase data, but you can build WeWeb APIs on top of your Supabase data. So you can kind of interact with it in a bit more of a no-codey way in terms of logic. And then the plan around that maybe to do something similar with Xano, where you can keep your Xano database, but maybe if you want, you could use WeWeb backend to set up certain pieces of logic around it. Because there'll be built-in integrations. I forgot to mention that. So I don't know, like Stripe, resend, there'll be ways to generate PDFs, send Slack messages, get data from, I don't know, Jira or something. So if for whatever reason you wanted to quickly hook those things up, maybe you could use it to set up, you could use our backend to set up that logic around Xano, but completely your call. But in that case, the kind of quality of life around Xano won't change on day one. And Eben has joined me back. Hey, Eben, apologies, I think your connection dropped. Just as we copied the workflow.
Yeah, I'm now trying to, I think my internet dropped. So I was logged out, so I'm now trying to log back in.
No worries.
Is there someone else on the chat?
No, I can give me a, do you know where the private chat is on here? If not, you can just put a message in the YouTube chat, whatever's more convenient. If
okay. Yeah, I can see the private chat.
Cool, yeah. Feel free to put a message in there when you're set up.
I'm just trying.
Yes, so the idea for the generate PDF is there's a service called API template.io. It lets you generate PDFs and images. So if you've ever used one of the PDF generators that exist, or even an email sender, because they're kind of similar, you usually in that service set up a template and you define what the dynamic fields are of that template. And then you can make an API call to that service and pass in whatever you want to populate the dynamic fields with. So if you're generating like a certificate for a student, you might have like, hey, first name, last name, congratulations, you have been awarded insert course. So you could make an API call and pass in the first and last name you want to use in the course name, that kind of thing. So the integration will be hooked up to that service, API template.io. So you can set up your templates in API template.io, and then you can just connect it to WeWeb using an API key. And then in WeWeb, you'll have a built-in action called generate PDF. And in the configuration of that action, you can select whatever template you want to use from your API template workspace. And then you'll be able to bind the fields or fix the fields with a fixed input if you want to. Basically, you can pass in the fields for that selected template, and then you'll get back a URL, and you can use that however you want. So it's not our own PDF generation service per se. However, just with an API key, you can hook it up to that service provider, and you then have a native action in WeWeb workflows to generate a PDF. And just in case it's of any use, I'll put in a link in the chat to that integration that we'll have for generating PDFs and images. It's called API template.io. No worries. Yes, I will. I'll try and find it on our YouTube channel. If you're specifically interested in the PDF generation, I don't think Flo showcased it in that stream just because it's one of the many integrations that will come. I think you only went through kind of the core things that will come with the new backend experience. However, I shall still find it for you. Give me 1 second. Cool, I'll put the link in the YouTube chat. It starts just when Flo starts the demo. No worries. PDF generation, my PDF generation idea, my client is thinking he will be ready to share with you things. So yeah, PDF generation is a massive thing. So if you do have anything you would like to see that would make your life easier, by all means, please do let us know. Because the idea of those integrations is to make life as easy as possible for those external service actions, let's call them. Hey, Evan, is there any luck yet? I think you might mute the stream. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm fighting.
I think your connection might have dropped again. In the meantime, I see you there, Emmerich. Hello, sir. How's it going?
Yeah. All good. How are you doing? You okay?
Yeah, all good. What's the crack?
I'm trying to do a share. I don't know. You'll probably kind of call it like share post or share article, whatever, those type of things. But basically, what I have, you would call it like an AI chat, so like a dynamic response. So you get a response, and what I want to do from there, I want to share that particular page. So this is kind of the idea that I had, which was to well, actually, let me just kind of share my screen, probably just a bit, so I can show you what
Sure
I'm
thing.
thinking. Yeah, basically what I have. So I've been forking the hell out of this WeWeb chat.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. So anyway, I have this share I guess link. I've implemented a trigger, so whenever I share that, it kind of takes everything that I need.
Yeah.
So what I was thinking with that was that I would insert that into a table database. Yeah. And then I would kind of open the pop-up and say, URL copied or something like that.
Mhm.
And then I have a separate page for those types of data records. And basically in my table, basically I'm just storing just an ID, so that way I can use that as a parameter in the URL.
Mhm.
And just a question, basically. So that way, whenever basically what I want is whenever the user opens that particular URL, which would be like the base URL / this, then I would want to take this particular, I guess, question and trigger my workflow. So
Mhm.
my question for you would be is like, how do I because basically I'm presuming that I need to do something here in this on page load to take the ID from the URL in
Mhm.
order for me to know which question basically to ask to trigger my workflow. So I was trying to figure out how can I found something on the forums, and it was saying like, get the base URL, but how am I
Yeah.
supposed to get that?
So just to make sure, you only want to share the question and answer, not the full chat.
Correct. Yeah, just a question and answer. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, you're on the right line pretty much. So the only thing you'd really need is on page load. Based on whatever is in the URL, you want to do a search of Supabase for the question that has that ID. So how you best probably want to do it is you could use a query parameter in the URL, or you could have it be its own path. I think for this, it probably makes sense to be a query parameter. So have you used the query parameter variables before?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. So if you go to the data tab on the left, and then if you create a new variable, and then, so you can choose query. And then if you call it at the top, like question ID, for example, this will now, do you know what a query parameter is in URL?
So I'm presuming after the question mark, that type of thing.
Exactly.
So
Yeah. So how these query parameter variables work is if that query parameter exists and it's case sensitive. So if the question ID query parameter exists with that exact same case match, then it will dynamically pull the value of whatever it is in the URL, and you can use it inside of the editor. So it's kind of just a nice quality of life way to use query parameter values, inside the editor. So what you could do is, how do you plan to direct the user to this page? So like if I'd be in the copyable URL, right? Whenever you press share.
Yeah. Yeah, so you basically so you copy the URL, and whenever you paste that URL, that would just load the page.
Yeah. So basically in that URL that gets generated, you would want to link them to that page, but at the end have that query parameter question ID and then equals whatever the ID was that was generated. And so then, yeah, we can, do you want to do it now?
Yeah, sure. So basically here, so on click shared, would I
It
build?
would be after this because you need the ID. So you need to do it after the
Yeah.
insert so you know what the ID is.
Okay, so would I build like I guess I would build a variable, isn't it?
Maybe not. So on the pop-up itself, could you open that pop-up that shows the share URL?
Yeah, I just gave it a title here.
So what you might want to do with this is if you test open pop-up, the action itself, just so we can open it, and then you close the workflow.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just a confirmation. Okay, my bad.
Yeah, it's just a confirmation here. Yeah.
If you go back in that workflow then, sorry, I thought it was like a whole thing where you press copy. That makes sense.
Okay, back to this.
So if in the, so after the insert action,
Okay.
there's a native copy to clipboard action.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you bind the value here.
So I guess I would have like the base URL.
Yes. So, okay. So to do this properly, we might as well do it very, very properly. So for this kind of thing, what you'd want is you'd actually want a formula. So if you go to the logic tab on the far left, you'll want to create a custom formula. You'll see what I mean in a second. So if you go to the logic tab on the far left.
Oh, in here. Okay.
And then you create a new formula and you call it base URL. And then you open up the formula at the bottom. And if you now open the formulas tab on the right and choose switch, and so if you hover over it, you'll see, if you haven't used a switch before, basically you can pass in a dynamic value and then say, okay, if my variable's value is X, return Y. If it's this other thing, return this, and so on. So the idea behind this is that so you can use this in all the environments, so you can test it in the editor first and then deploy it and have it work automatically in production. You can say, okay, if the environment is the editor, use the editor base URL so I can test it properly. If the environment is production, use like my actual domain URL and that kind of thing. Yeah. So in the inside the parentheses is the very first thing. If you open up the collections tab here, so the ES, and then if you open up browser, and then down a little bit, the environment.
Okay. So this kind of tells me, okay. So this tells me the environment, I guess. Yeah.
So now you can say, you can type whatever the possible value of this could be. So here it will be editor.
So this would be kind of the editor. So I guess for the editor, we would have this as a.
But first you need to this is a bit of a copy and paste job. So actually, no, sorry, yeah, there is the base URL. You're right. You have the base URL dynamically at the bottom. Sorry, Emmerich. Now I'm saying this, I realize there's a way easier way to do this. We have it built in. So you can just use the base URL. My bad. I think that would work perfectly. This whole time I've been setting up something more complicated to do this. So actually, you know what? You don't even need this formula. My bad. You can delete the base URL formula. And so on here.
So we would just put it here.
Exactly, yeah.
So browse and base URL, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And so now you could say, you would do a plus and then in brackets, a /. Sorry, in parentheses.
Oh, okay.
In speech marks, yeah. And then do another plus. And then this depends on what the URL path is of that page with the share. So is it literally just the base URL then the page? Or is
Yeah.
there something...
So I mean, this is basically I totally forgot how to so in the URL path, basically I just wanted to like the parameter and kind of just put the ID basically.
So for this, you could do it this way. With how we've set it up, it's probably best to use the query param. So these are two different things. So this is a path parameter and a query parameter. Query parameter is best for like a fixed page with a tiny bit of dynamic content, whereas a complete dynamic path is more, it's better for a detail page almost. It's kind of like if you had an e-commerce site, every different product would have its own path. Whereas for something like this, because you don't really care, would you care about SEO or something like that?
No, not really, no.
So we can probably simplify it a bit and use the query param. So if at the end of this URL, if you delete the dynamic stuff, so it's just public knowledge base.
Okay, yeah.
And delete the / at the end. Cool. And you now go back to the workflow where we're setting up the URL. If here you open up the collections tab again, and you scroll down to pages, or open up pages rather. And then if you find that page for the share, and then if you copy the ID here, although now I say this, we might need you probably need because it's the ID now in the editor, but in the live site, it would use the URL you defined. So the actual path, it wouldn't use the...
Yeah. Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, I can sort that out. Yeah.
Cool. So and now at the very end, if you do another plus, then in speech marks, question mark equals, because you're saying you're creating a query parameter. And so just before the equals, you want to type the name of it. So you would say question mark, and then it was question ID. And then last but not least, if you add a plus at the very end and go into the workflow tab, because we want to pull the result from that insert action, which is null right now. I think you might need to click on the insert action and toggle on the fact that it returns the data that it adds.
Okay.
So if you...
so in here, yeah. So
exactly,
yeah.
Exactly. And so now we can test this. So if you test the copy to clipboard action, and you then open this up in a new tab, it should take you to that page in the editor if all works well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have it deployed, but yeah, for sure. Okay. Perfect. Happy with that. Okay, then.
But that should have, I don't know if that worked correctly though, because it should have taken you to the page.
Yeah.
You need...
Did I not set up something properly?
I might have mucked up the URL a bit because you might need for the editor stuff, you might need the project ID. But regardless, you can see how this would work in Principality. Because basically, so here you would need the URL and then add the dynamic question ID. And so just to show you how this would work when you get that set up, is if you go back to that public knowledge base page.
Public knowledge. Yeah, this one here, yeah.
And then you close this pages navigator. And then go to click on the debug icon, open up variables, and then look for that question ID we created. You see it's blank at the minute, but if you just put in like a random value, just so you can see. What you'd want to do, and imagine this is like the ID that gets passed. Now you could add a page level workflow. So on this page itself, you could, exactly. And you already have something set up. This was where you're going to do it, yeah. Now you could do a select from Supabase. And you'd want to select from that table, where the questions are. And you'd want to filter for the ID, and you'd want to look for the ID that matches your
ID. And I would say here, the question ID.
And so you would just bind it to this, yeah. And so, as I say, as long as you pass this in the URL, this will automatically, the value will get automatically pulled into this variable, and you can use it as you'd expect.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so so basically this particular piece here, this question ID equals this basically when pasted, I guess, in a URL would trigger that
Exactly.
variable query variable to be updated.
If you want to, we can do it. I know there's one more thing to get what I tried there working. It's, you see in the URL, there's straight after editor WeWeb, you have that long, copy that ID, because that's your workspace. So I forgot you need to put that before it. So now if you, after the first / we do, after the base URL, if you put it just exactly, you can do it that way. And then I think you'll need a / at the end of that though. So yeah, just exactly. If you try this, if this doesn't work, then we can forget about it for now, but I think this should work.
Sure. Okay, so that included it, yeah.
Cool.
Oh, perfect.
If you go into that page level workflow, just to make sure it then automatically used the ID that was passed.
So yeah, well, I guess we didn't, but I guess I can check it here, can't I?
Yes, if you open up the debug, the little bug icon, and then variables, and then if you search for the question ID, there you go.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, brilliant.
So if you delete that log, it should work correctly. I think it was just an issue with the log, so it didn't.
Yeah. Good point. Let me just try this again. Yeah, okay, perfect. So, I mean, I can see the object here. I can see that in here. Yeah. Oh, perfect. I like that. Yeah, thanks for that. I've been spending a bit of time on this earlier today, and I was trying to kind of figure out what's the best way for me to get those dynamic URLs.
This is kind of, I don't know if you hear when, I think it was Eben just before this was talking about trying to handle like Stripe redirect URLs, and it's a similar kind of thing where working with URLs in a dynamic way like this is it's not the easiest thing in the world to start off with, but once you get the hang of them, it's not too bad.
Yeah, I mean, I've never used the query, I guess, formulas. What did we say it was called? Yeah, like the query ones. Yeah, I've never used that before. Yeah, so yeah.
But yeah, just be conscious of like, it gets a bit, if you don't set it up to be dynamic from the start. So like if you can just press publish now and have it automatically use the proper stuff for the live. If you don't do that now, it can be a bit annoying, because then if you have a problem in production, you then need to go into the editor and switch everything around and stuff. So when you do get it working, it's best to set it up to work for both or all three environments.
Both environments, yeah, for sure. I think that was it on my side.
Cool.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks again.
No worries.
Speak to you guys later.
Take care. Bye-bye. Hey, Sean, can you hear me? I don't know if I can hear you.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes, there we go. All good.
I'm always your ninth inning special here.
The home run.
That's right. Coming in the home run. All right.
Well, let's get into it. What's the...
All right. So on this data grid, what's the best way to do it? Because I've got 3 columns, and I like to keep everything in auto, but when I do auto, it just disappears.
Yeah. So You wanted to do what? Sorry.
I'd like to keep things on auto. Don't you agree in terms of width on things? But it just destroyed that the size of that data grid.
Yeah. So this is because the columns technically have a dynamic width also. So if you go into the settings tab on the right side, the middle one, and then you open up a column, it says it has a fixed width, but there's nothing defined for it. You see at the bottom, there's a width option.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, you could do something like this. Flex means it will dynamically adjust itself based on like the width of the entire data grid, or you can set it to fixed and define whatever it should be. So you could say this should always be 120 pixels or something. So this is related to that because they didn't have a defined width basically. So when you set it to auto, it is technically working because it's fitting to the content, but the content doesn't have a width. So that's why.
Okay. So I'm gonna make these really small because there's still how much data in it. The one on the right and the left. So I'll just do that 120, and then the next one I'll just do 120. Got it. Oh, fixed one. Okay, and then if I set it to auto, it should.
I think so. That's why. That's when you showed me that. I thought that was the reason, but let's see.
Yeah.
Babush. Okay, well you have a workaround for this. So if you put the data grid in a div, I think we did this last week. You can press Command G. It was Control G to.
That is a great shortcut. I freaking love that.
So what you could do with this is, I guess technically, could you give the data grid a fixed width and it would fit your purpose? Because you would.
Yeah, it would, but I'm just wondering why auto doesn't work. But it's no big deal. Anyway,
you could, yeah. So,
you can table it.
I'm trying to think. Like, so you want it to always take up the possible width here, or how would you want it to work in that sense?
Yeah, I mean, I just I always have stuff on auto because I get in trouble every time I create too many things with the.
What you could do is you could give it a percentage. So if you were to, instead of pixels on the right-hand side, if you set it to percentage, and yes, and then you can do something with a data grid because you've put it in this flex box. It's kind of a workaround. So you could set this to 20%, and if you now click on the data grid, the one that's inside the box, on the width for this. You could set this width to be 100%.
How about auto? Oof, almost.
Almost.
All right.
Why is it not doing that? It is 100%. Sorry, why is it not? If you scroll. And if you, sorry, one more time, if you click on the flex box that it's inside of, I just want to see the width that that's taking up. Okay, that's why, because it is actually taking up 100%. So if you scroll a little bit further up on the flex box and you open up the
sizing,
the layout above.
Oh, the layout. Oh, yeah.
No, so maybe it's in display. I'm looking for the display one above this. There's an option to, here we go. You see sizing. It's currently set to shrink. That means shrink.
Oh, that's shrink. I can't see it. It's so small.
So I think if you click this expand one beside it, it should, there we go. Okay, so now it's actually taking up the 20%.
Ah, what the heck? You guys got to change the color of that.
Yeah, it's a good point. So this doesn't, I mean, you can't set it to auto, but this is kind of a hacky workaround where if you don't want to set a complete fixed value and you want it to adapt to the screen.
Okay. All right, I'll just set a fixed value for now. But all right, appreciate that. Let's move on to another one. So I got some more spreadsheet. Hold on. List. Okay, so I just created a list. I pulled from Google like all my docs, which is kind of cool. And so And then how do I prevent this left side from not being underneath?
On the very far left, you see the bug icon in the panel. If you click the
Uh-huh.
one to the right of that.
Ah, what does that do? What is that called?
I don't know what you call that, to be honest with you. It's like a, I don't know. It's a good point. I don't know how to describe what this does, but you know what it does. You know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what it does now. All right, how do I have borders inside this table
Yeah.
without going to each cell?
You can't really, because of how this is, because it's a manual div with a bunch of divs inside of it. There isn't really a way to. No, it's a row. So yes, you should be able to. So you want to add just a border to like the top and bottom of all the cells?
The sides of every cell. It's already got a border above and below.
If you were to click on the row, and then you could, because the row encompasses all of these cells. No, so you want a border in between each column, basically, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you'd have to do it on the cells, unfortunately.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Because this is built with just the divs. If it was the data grid component, then it has the property set up to do it just with the property. But because it's just a bunch of divs, unfortunately, you have to set it up on the divs themselves.
Well, should I use a data grid component? I mean, this is pulling the
it's
Google Docs.
This, I think I would definitely recommend it, yeah, because you see that warning where it says you've got more than 200 items.
Yeah.
The data grid would handle this manually, and that would save you a bunch of time. Because if you were to try and handle this yourself, then you have to figure out how to set up pagination manually and all that kind of stuff. So the data grid would save you a bunch of hassle, probably.
Okay. And it's easier to start without variables, right? So you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you can just click on it and bind the data to whatever your collection is or whatever it might be. And then you could press generate columns.
Okay. Yeah, I should have done that. Ooh, it says unknown there. Do I get rid of that?
Yeah, get it out. It's just because you didn't import the variable.
Okay, cool.
And then sometimes when you first press that, you have that like weird white space at the bottom, but if you refresh, it will be gone. Oh, sorry, white space at the top.
You mean at the right, on the right-hand side?
At the top, you see there's like this white space between the header and the first row.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Sometimes it just does that when you first set it up, but once you refresh, it'll be fixed.
Yeah. Okay. And then I can do queries inside a cell, right? Query in a query, subqueries. You don't have to show me. I'm just curious.
What do you mean by queries?
Like a value in a column is a query of a query, a subquery to a different table. I can do that, right? Nested query in a way.
Are you literally trying to like recreate Excel in that sense, or Google Sheets? Do you mean
No, just like the data in one of these columns is not going to come from the actual data source that's listed. It'll come from another data source. So it's a cross table query.
I get you. You could. I think the easiest way to do this would be to actually, whenever you fetch the data from your, I can't remember what you said it was pulling from, wherever you're storing the data from that API, the easiest way to do it would be once you get that data, use like some AI generated JavaScript or something to format it. So it automatically gives you the data ready to go and you can just plop it in the data grid. Otherwise, you can do it without doing that kind of pre-processing step. But what you would have to do is for every cell where its value isn't just straight up coming from the data, you have to do some queries. You would have to, on the data grid itself, go into the column, and then you see there's custom display value. There's a toggle for it.
Yeah.
You would have to go here and then set up like the query of what this cell's value should be.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, you can do it this way, but I think it'll be easier in the long run if you do the pre-processing step to get all the data ready.
And pre-processing will be done in a variable or in a workflow?
In a workflow. So you have it set up as a collection right now, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But what you could do is you could say on page load, fetch collection. You could use the data from that collection. So you could have you would have a variable. Let's call it like sheets data, for example. So you'd fetch the collection in a workflow, then have a step after called change variable value, and you change the value of your sheets variable. And in that value for that variable, you would bind it and then process the sheets data from the collection. So you're getting the data in the collection, then saving it to a front end variable and using the data from the front end variable.
Okay. Yeah, that's a query. Makes sense. You're just rechanging the value. Okay. Cool. And then in terms of the charts, when I want to add a component, you give like 6 options here, and there's more to Charts.js than those 6.
Yes.
So I can use other ones or just these 6?
Natively, you can use those 6. If you want anything beyond that, I think AI is the quickest approach. If you open up the AI chat, put in the custom component, and then like paste in the docs from Chart.js or whatever chart is you want to create.
Okay. Yeah, because I had luck creating one, but it disappears. It's real sensitive on the JavaScript, of course.
Yeah, that's the. But yeah, unfortunately, so AI would be. I mean, you could use you can also use a HTML embed if you wanted to, but it would be a lot more work, I think, to get it working than just creating a component for it.
Yeah, I'm spending so much time in those JavaScripts. I'd love to give do you have beta testers for the next version, or you guys got a closed group?
No, we do. I mean, it's a closed group, but I can, I'll speak to Flo tomorrow and I mean, yeah, see when we can open up the slots, because I mean, you're more than welcome to test it once we, once we kind of do a larger batch.
That. So some UI ideas I have, but they already might be implemented. So
super. Yeah, no, I shall pass you on. More feedback, the better.
And then last question is when I do a drop down here, somehow it disappeared. It's with something, I think.
So if you click onto it, and then if you scroll up a little bit in the settings, if you open up the trigger.
What does trigger mean? That's when you click on it, or the...
Yeah, so it's kind of the thing you see, the thing you see right now, basically. So what you click on to trigger the opening. But I thought there would be a width option here, but there's not. And you definitely have options. So just to check, if you open up the options binding at the very top, the one above this. Yeah, so you have your options. And then if you click on the label beneath this, on the right-hand side, beneath options, you have label. Yeah, you've got a label. Okay, that's a very odd one. And then last thing, if you open up the pencil, so the styling tab for this, you've got font size, Okay, I'm looking for a width property of some kind for this.
Yeah. Drop down.
There's a width. Could you put a width just to see if you put like a massive one, it at least fixes it, to see if that's the issue?
Yep.
Okay, that'll be it then.
Yeah, and it wasn't. I was thinking, the width, how you have to reset. That didn't have it on there, but okay, that's weird.
There was a reset. You mean? What do you mean by reset?
You know how like AI has.
Okay, right. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have a reset on that one.
For this one is probably. I haven't used this before, but I think it's probably one where you want like 100%, so it takes up the.
Okay.
Or
all right.
Whatever. Yeah.
Very good. That should do it.
Super. Well.
Yeah. You need my email, or just.
Yes, please. Could you put it in the private chat? There's a private chat whenever you're in the lobby. If you wouldn't mind putting it in there, and then I'll note it down.
Chat. I see the chat button will go to you. It looks like it's public.
No, there should be a private chat.
Left. Got it. All right. I'll come with the hard questions next week.
Good.
Thanks a lot.
I'll note that down. Cheers, Sean.
All right. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye. Cool, right. And then last one I think that we'll have time for is Jeff A. Hey, Jeff A. Apologies if I'm not pronouncing that correctly.
Hey, is it Matthew or Flo?
Yes. No, it's me. It's Matthew. No, Flo isn't with
Oh.
us this week, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Nice to meet you.
Likewise. How's it
So-
going?
I'm doing great. So I have two quick questions. I'm having some issues with the new pop-up system.
Okay.
Let me see if I can share my screen. Can you see it?
Yes, there we go. Cool. I got it.
Okay, let me know if it's too small or
No, it's all good.
Okay, so I have this pop-up instance right here,
Mm-hmm.
which I open, and I'm using like the form to check if the value is empty or invalid, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm using another pop-up called alert fixed, this
Mhm.
one right here, which is a timed one, so he will fade after some time.
Yep.
But what I'm trying to do is I want to make it appear on top of another pop-up, which is this
Mhm.
one, to make it more reusable. But my problem is that even if he was added after this one, he still appears underneath.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect
So I
sense.
don't know how the layering works, because I've tried to see if I found something, but I didn't find anything related to the index or how
Yeah.
they are layered.
That's a good question. So let's see. So if you put it into edit mode,
Which
sorry,
one?
on the top right, it's in preview mode right now. If you click on preview, sorry, no, if you open exactly. So if you and if you click into the pop-up, because I honestly can't remember off the top of my head if you can change the Z index of these. So if you scroll down,
Yeah,
on the
you
right-
can't.
You can't.
Yeah, you can't. I nothing on the properties, and nothing on the. I actually tried to mess up with
Mm-hmm.
with the Z index before here, but it didn't matter. It didn't work.
Okay, this is odd because I think from experience I somehow got around this before. So there's one thing I think we can try, and if not, it might be one for the support team. So if you open up the pop-ups tab on the left,
Oh, here? Yeah.
yes, and if you create a new pop-up and then create a modal. I'm just curious, if you create another modal, will this one appear above your current one? I would want to test something. So if you create the modal, it does. Okay. So I think you might have to recreate what you had, but with this, I have to check this one out. Maybe it's something to do with the alert template, but if you
because I think I'm sorry to interrupt you. I think this one is also a model. I just reposition in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you.
Maybe
I wrote a post, and Augustine said something about allow stacking. I don't know if this has to do with.
Yes, that's a good point. Maybe it might do. We can try it. So if you go back to WeWeb, let's see if because I saw you did have it on. If you if you click on the first, if you go back into edit mode, and open the alert pop-up, the alert fixed one, and if you click edit in the top right, and you see you have allow stacking on, maybe if we turn this off for now,
Okay.
And now go through the flow where you open up that edit dialog you have and see if we trigger it. Does it appear? It
Yeah.
does. Okay, so that's what it is. Okay.
Yeah, so I think the issue is that I need this to stack up because I'm using it for multiple functions inside my app. So I just change the properties based on the conditions, right?
Yeah.
So I think the best approach here is to create another one just for this, right?
Yeah, I mean, if unfortunately that's probably just a bug with the stacking ones where they don't appear above. I mean, yeah, I don't know if unfortunately there probably isn't a way you could use a pop-up and enable stacking and have it work as you'd want for this use case.
Okay, yeah. Awesome. At least, I mean, this is huge for me, so I'm glad this works right now.
If you really wanted to, just I don't know how much of a requirement it is as a workaround right now. You probably could get around this by creating. I don't know how much you messed around with components, but you probably could create some kind of, let's call it like a manual pop-ups component that's just a div, and you can pass in some way, shape, or form. You have it create elements for how many alerts you need to show, and you could place it inside the layout of this pop-up. It's very hacky. I wouldn't recommend it unless it's like an absolute requirement, but there would be a hacky workaround to get this working, but unfortunately not with the native pop-up system. I think this is one for the tech team to fix, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I don't mind. I just, it wasn't working in any way that I tried before. So now just by untoggling the stacking, I'm happy with that. So it's no problem. Another thing that it's just a question. It's not something that it's not working right now. So I'm reusing data a lot for pop-ups, especially the so-called crude data. And I know that usually you set up these properties here on the properties for the pop-up, but right now I'm using as a variable. So let me see if I can find it here. Yeah, so this one right here, where it says crude data, right? So in your experience, which method is more appropriate to use to transfer data between pop-ups and stuff? And also I have another one to define if it's let me give you an example. When I press new, the crude method is C for create, right? And when I edit something, it's U for update. And when I press delete, it's D.
Yes. So honestly, I don't think it's that bad how you've done it. At this point, I would say it's probably a thing of preference. Like if you're creating a brand new project, I'd say it's probably best to use the properties, and it will just be easier over time if everything is scoped into the pop-ups as opposed to using the global variables. But now that you've done it this way, and I don't know how many pop-ups you've set up around this, in truth, it might just be simpler to continue as you're doing, because from a functionality perspective, it wouldn't change much. From a scalability perspective, it wouldn't change a ton. It's always nicer when you have the variables scoped to the pop-ups, so you can just open the pop-up and know instantly what variable it's using or what property it's using, that kind of thing. But given you've already done this and you've set stuff up around it, I would probably say it's more of a preference thing. Like, how long would it take you now to transfer everything to use properties? If it would take like a couple of hours, then I don't think there's a point, to be honest.
Yeah. I actually started doing the way around, and I went this way because I actually wanted to access the data from that pop-up from the outside. So the variables was like a good way to use both in pop-up and somewhere in the app where I need it, right?
Yeah.
So, but I always kept in mind that I didn't know like if this if it had some impact on maybe the weight of the page, because like I know that's not good to have a ton of variables, and a object like this can have like a lot of data inside of it. So I was kind of worried about that.
I don't think it would affect performance, at least not in any kind of noticeable way. It would be more just a decision of, it'd be like a developer UX decision, basically. What do you find more easy to work with and more maintainable and scalable? You're right with the variables. The variables, I don't know if you've experimented with components at all. When you create components, it's much like pop-ups. The difference is though, and we should add this in the future, when you create variables inside of a component, you have the ability to expose them to the outside world. Whereas with pop-ups, you don't. And we should probably add that in the future. But so you're 100% right. That is one of the limitations of variables in pop-ups. But yeah, so I mean, if you've done it this way so far, there wouldn't be any performance implications if you were to switch it. And since your whole system is set up around it and you're used to it, I'd probably just say stick with what you have, to be honest with you. It might not be worth switching everything over now.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I always wonder this preserve on navigation. How does that work for variables like this? It just stays there when you move to another page?
Exactly, yeah. So if you were to, so if you were to save data into it and then change pages, the data wouldn't get reset. You still have access to it.
Right, and local storage would be like pretty much the same thing, but when you close the browser, it's still gonna be there.
Exactly, right? Yeah. Unless they like reset their cookies or if they're in incognito mode or something like that, yeah.
Okay, yeah, this is huge because I'm trying to like the app is done. Now I'm just refining it, and making it more effective. Yeah. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Matthew.
No worries at all. Glad I could help.
All right. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
You too. Take care. Bye-bye. Cool. Right. That is us then for this week. I just saw your message, SMLR. Apologies I didn't see it before if you're still there. Thank you for the kind words. I hope you're figuring things out well as you go. And yes, thank you everyone for joining. We shall be here, or we are here, every Tuesday, 6 to 7 p.m. Central European time. Hopefully Flo can join me next week. He's just super busy these days with prepping the backend update, but hopefully he can join me next week. Okay. Super. Thank you so much, everyone. I shall see you next week.